The George Bush Promise.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
Then he gave us the second biggest tax increase in American history. Bush increased the gas tax by 56%. Can we afford 4 more years? Bill Clinton, a different kind of Democrat. As governor, Arkansas has the impact in the country. Balanced budgets. You don't have to read his lips. Read his record. Clinton Gore. For people. For a change.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
I take responsibility for all my actions, both public and private. And that is why I'm speaking to you tonight. As you know, in a deposition in January, I was asked questions about my relationship with Monica Lewinsky. While my answers were legally accurate, I did not volunteer information. Indeed, I did have a relationship with Ms. Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong. It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part for which I am solely and completely responsible. But I told the grand jury today, and I say to you now, that at no time did I ask anyone to lie, to hide or destroy evidence, or to take any other unlawful action. I know that my public comments and my silence about this matter gave a false impression. I misled people, including even my wife.
For the second time, is about to tell the country that it is at war. He did it on a Sunday when the war in Afghanistan began in those months after 9/11, and in just a moment he is about to do it again. Here is the President.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger. Our nation enters this conflict reluctantly, yet our purpose is sure. The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder. We will meet that threat now with our Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines, so that we do not have to meet it later with armies of firefighters and police and doctors on the streets of our cities.
State of the Union with Candy Coley, CNN Sunday morning, 9 Eastern.
You talked about how just sick you felt to your stomach when you found out there were no weapons of mass destruction. Can you bring me to that moment? Did someone walk in and say, we've stopped looking, they're not there? Who was it? How did that happen?
It just kind of was, it evolved. The fact that there wasn't weapons evolved. I mean, you know, when we first got in there and started looking around and didn't find anything, you get that kind of sinking feeling that, uh-oh. And then time went on, and then we got tips, you know, I'll never forget the tip that there was crates buried, you know, hidden in the Euphrates River. So they found, maybe these are them, and they've sent frogmen, and there was nothing there. And so, and then, of course, George Tenet had the inspectors go back in, or David Kay and Dulfer, and that pretty well was a period at the end of the sentence there. And yeah, I felt terrible about it. And on the other hand, those reports did point out that Saddam Hussein was very dangerous, that he had the capacity to make weapons, and I'm convinced that if he were in power today, the world would be a lot worse off.
This plan will require you or your employer to change the coverage of the doctor you have. If you are among the hundreds of millions of Americans who already have insurance, nothing in my plan will require you or your employer to change the coverage or the doctor you have. If you want to keep the health insurance you got, you can keep it. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like the insurance plan you have now, you can keep it. Today, I want to speak plainly clearly, honestly, if you already have health care, you don't have to do anything. And everyone who already has health insurance will keep the benefits and protections this law already has put into place. Period. 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 End of story.
You have or had one of these plans before the Affordable Care Act came into law, and you really liked that plan. What we said was you could keep it if it hasn't changed since the law's passed.